Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone, guys. It's your boy, Nice1983, and I am super excited about what we have here today. So we have the Pixel Pals Sonic the Hedgehog. I have been calling for PDP to make a Sonic figure for a long time. In fact, it was one of the biggest criticisms I had about it was they kept releasing variant after variant after variant, and a character like Sonic had yet to get his own Pixel Pal. But as of today, November 7th, we have a Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm just really excited to go ahead and review this one for you today because, man, Sonic to me is an icon. He is an icon of the video game industry, and you can say what you want about, you know, his 3D appearances, but for me, when I think of Sonic, I think of that classic 16-bit era. I think of the console wars, because the console wars were so pivotal in my growth. They were the most important aspect of video gaming back in the day, and Sega versus Nintendo, it literally was a war. It was a war, and the people who bought whatever console, they were the soldiers who went onto those playgrounds and, you know, battled it out for dominance. Now, ultimately, Nintendo would outlast Sega as a console manufacturer, but let's not forget that because of Sonic, Sega had a fighting chance to go at Nintendo. So, yeah, he is an icon of the video game industry, and, you know, this 16-bit version of Sonic is just, he's just classic, and he looks cool, and I'm excited to go ahead and do this Pixel Pal. So guys, let's go ahead and start with the box. Alright, so it's pretty standard for a Pixel Pal box, but up in the left hand corner, we have the eye light up word bubble. Over to the right of that, you have the Sonic the Hedgehog logo, but under that it says Collector's Edition. I don't know what specifically about the Sonic the Hedgehog makes this a Collector's Edition. I don't know if it's there to just look cool or make us think that this is somehow a Collector's Edition. I literally haven't been able to find anything indicating that it would be a collector's edition, but it is what it is. Under that we have the Pixel Pals logo. Moving on to the left of the box, you see Sonic in the window display. Under that it says his name, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is for ages 14 and up. You have your PDP logo, and on the right hand corner of the box you have the number 40, indicating that this is the 40th figure in the Pixel Pals line. They have released a lot of these in a year. Alright guys, here it is, the back of the box, my favorite part of the box, because they have these great character descriptions here on the back of the box. So let's go ahead and read this. Everyone's favorite blue hedgehog, Sonic is best known for his incredible speed and his ability to survive even the most challenging obstacles. Sonic uses his quick thinking to protect the world from the forces of evil and thwart attacks from his countless foes. With his friction-resistant red sneakers, Sonic loves adventure and values freedom above all else. So that's a pretty damn good description of Sonic. I feel like they missed an opportunity to say anything about the console wars, but it is what it is. I love this freaking description. I think they did a good job. But moving on from that, over to the left of the description, we have this great image of Sonic, and this is the only other line other than the Street Fighter line to not have a, you know, a picture of the Pixel Pal sprite from the game. So right here we have a great piece of Sonic art. The only other line that does this is the Street Fighter line, so pretty cool. Anyway guys, let's go ahead and look at the last side of the box and then unbox this. Okay guys, so Sonic has been freed from his packaging, and just look at this. This is epic. This might be the best Pixel Pal ever released. I know I said that about the Super Mario World Mario, but this is so perfect. I love how deep the blue is. I love how he has like light reflection lines on his, you know, his forehead, on his brow. His pose is great. It's his idle animation pose where you don't touch the controller and Sonic just gets annoyed with you. That is super classic. On top of that, the reds of his sneakers look fantastic. And guys, you know I couldn't resist and had to break out Sonic Mania just so I could show off this Pixel Pal properly. This Pixel Pal is damn near perfect. And Again, this is only the second 16-bit character we've had after Super Mario World Mario. So this is fantastic. So since we brought up Super Mario World Mario, let's go ahead and slide into comparison time and just take a look at them side by side. Alright guys, so here it is, Super Mario World Mario standing next to Sonic the Hedgehog, and take a look. These are both iconic 16-bit characters at their best. These look fantastic, and when I look at them, I'm just instantly reminded of the rivalry between Sega and Nintendo back in the day. I really just feel that nostalgia just staring at these two things side by side. And it just goes to show you the difference in the mentalities between the two companies. Look at Mario. Mario's really happy. He's cleared a level and, you know, throwing up his V for victory or his peace sign. Whereas Sonic is impatient and he wants you to do anything other than what you're doing right now. He just wants you to hurry up and let's start moving. And that's the attitude of those two companies. Nintendo wanted to do happy, friendly stuff, whereas Sega was more impatient and always rushing stuff. And these two Pixel Pals clearly demonstrate those two differing mentalities, and I love that. Outside of that, just look at the color schemes, where Sonic is a much darker, deeper blue. Mario's overalls are a little muted by comparison, you know, just very light, bright, and happy. Just, there's not a lot of attitude in Mario, and Sonic, you know, exudes attitude right down to the colors, the deepness of the colors, that is. And just looks fantastic. I want to go ahead and take a closer look at these two guys. Alright, so taking a closer look at the Pixel Pal Sonic and the Pixel Pal Super Mario World Mario, you see a lot of just how different these two characters really are. Sonic has a lot more hard edges than Mario. And again, take a look at their expressions. Completely different. Sonic just looks impatient, whereas Mario's just, you know, very relaxed and happy. And that is a very cool juxtaposition to see with these two Pixel Pals. Outside of that, more specifically the Sonic Pixel Pal, it's great just from the colors that they chose, right down to the pose. This isn't a typical pose I would have thought Sega would have picked for Sonic, but in hindsight, it is probably the best pose because you really get the essence of Sonic's character. He's, you know, a character that likes to move fast, really fast, and standing still is something he doesn't like to do, and it would leave him impatient. So ultimately, this was the most perfect pose to choose for a Sonic the Hedgehog Pixel Pal, in my opinion. But now guys, let's go ahead and test out the functionality and see how good it looks when the lights are turned off. Alright guys, it's the functionality test time, and take a look. So PvP chose to use really deep blues and deep reds for Sonic the Hedgehog. They chose darker colors because the thing that happens when you turn on the Pixel Pals, the light kind of dulls the colors. So what we end up having here is fantastic because they went with such a dark blue, almost purple in a sense. When you turn the Pixel Pal on, this looks really accurate to what we see in game. Now, what I have here on the screen is Sonic Mania, and Sonic Mania opts for a lighter color scheme than the classic Sonic games, but that's okay. You get a nice comparison. You can see that I have both characters in the exact same pose, so what you end up seeing is the pixel to plastic translation. This is fairly accurate. It's more likely accurate to the Sonic sprite from Sonic 2, just because the Sonic Mania sprite is slightly different. It's like a combination of all three of the original sprites to make something of their own. But you see how good this Pixel Pal is. PvP, you guys did an amazing job of capturing the essence of Sonic. Now, I would like to know which, you know, sprite they chose to work with, as far as which Sonic the Hedgehog design they chose, because it's hard to tell because the Sonic 1 and the Sonic 2 sprite, they're similar, whereas the Sonic Mania sprite, like I said, is an amalgamation of all three of the Sonic sprites from the, you know, the Sega Genesis era. Anyway guys, I think this looks great, but let's take a closer look at it. Alright, so here it is guys, an up close look. at Sonic the Hedgehog, and it just looks great. And I framed this in a way so that you could see the sprite from the game even better. So just take a look at it. Look at the pixel to plastic translation. Look at that. They did a really epic job of capturing this moment from the game and just doing it in Pixel Pal's form. So I do want to point out the differences between the sprite. If you look at the Sonic Mania sprite, his left shoe is a little bit more round and a lot longer, which is an indication that PDP actually used a classic Sonic the Hedgehog sprite instead of a new sprite done in a classic style. So big ups to PDP for actually going out there and using, an older sprite model, even though there was a newer one available. That being said though, I really appreciate this Pixel Pal. I do. It's fantastic and just an awesome throwback to that 16-bit era, and it really makes me happy that I got to do a comparison time between this Pixel Pal and the Super Mario World Pixel Pal, because you look at those two things, those are the two icons of that generation, Sonic and Mario. Nintendo versus Sega, that was the era that I grew up in and loved it. So I'm going to be 100% honest. I have always appreciated Sonic, even though I've never had a Genesis. I've always been a Nintendo kid. Obviously, that's why I have the Nintendo Power Zone. I have always had this deep appreciation for Sonic as a character. The character just spoke to me in a way that Mario just quite didn't do. Even though I love Mario, he is my favorite video game character of all time. He back then especially, he just didn't necessarily speak, volumes. He wasn't quite the mega icon that he is now. I mean, it's arguable. I mean, there was Mario Mania during that era, but in the time that has passed since the console wars, Mario has become the industry standard versus how Sonic is now kind of a cautionary tale of early success getting to a company's head. It doesn't really matter though. Back in the 90s, Sonic exuded cool, and I always appreciated that. But guys, it's time to go ahead and move into score time, so don't go anywhere. Alright guys, it is score time, my favorite time. Why? Because I get to tell you whether or not something is actually worth your hard-earned money. So guys, let's go ahead and start with the appearance as always. This Pixel Pal is fantastic. This is a great looking Pixel Pal. Straight up, it looks exactly the way that Sonic did in those classic games. I'm gonna take a guess and say that this is the sprite from Sonic 2, and if it is, it's 100% accurate. What I had here, I had Sonic Mania up on the screen so that you can see the Sonic Mania sprite in comparison to it when they did the exact same pose. Now, it's pretty spot on, but the Sonic Mania sprite is just slightly different because it's an amalgamation of the Sonic 1, 2, and 3 sprites, so there are some variations between the Pixel Pal and that sprite. But in the course of making this video, I decided to look up Sonic sprites and see which sprite that PDP used, and it turns out they chose the Sonic 1 sprite, where he's a little bit smaller and a lot pointier. And this Pixel Pal is on point, very reflective of that. Its pixel to plastic translation is 100% accurate, and I couldn't be any happier than that. So for its appearance, I'm going to give it a perfect 10. Now moving on to its functionality. PDP chose really deep colors for the blues, the reds, and the peaches, so that when you turn this Pixel Pal on, the color wash is taken into account to make this Pixel Pal look really good. Now this is the solution that I have been waiting for PDP to come to. They found a way to use deeper colors so that when they experience the color wash, they know that it's going to be accounted for, and the Pixel Pal is going to look great either off or on. And yes, now they made some variations with the Super Mario World figure where they used more of a matte finish to accomplish the same goal, but with this Pixel Pal, just changing the colors by making them deeper work to the same effect, and you don't sacrifice the brightness. This is PDP at their best. They're clearly getting the hang of Pixel Pals, and I hope that they continue to do this. The only other Pixel Pal that does this similar technique is the Ryu Pixel Pal, the Hot Ryu Pixel Pal that we unboxed a couple weeks ago. and I'm so happy that PDP is figuring these out. I really am, because now their quality is really starting to match their appearance. So I'm going to give it a 10 for its functionality as well, guys. So this product gets a perfect 10 from the Nintendo Power Zone. It gets our official Nintendo Power Zone seal of quality, and it deserves it 100%. Sonic the Hedgehog gets the love that he deserves with this Pixel Pal, and this is an excellent way for the character to celebrate its 25th anniversary. And they released this Pixel Pal at the perfect time, because Sonic Forces also drops today. So guys, if you're in a very Sonic the Hedgehog type of mood, go ahead, pick up this Pixel Pal and pick up that game. They're both at Best Buy right now, which is where I got this Pixel Pal, retailing at $14.99. Totally worth your money if you're a video game fan, but if you're a Sonic fan, you definitely have to own this. And if you guys want to learn more about the console wars of the 90s, I implore you to read Console Wars, Sega, Nintendo, and the Battle That Defined a Generation by Blake J. Harris. It's a fantastic book with buttloads of information on the creation of Sonic and the battle between Sega and Nintendo. Anyway guys, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get out of your hair, but before I let you go, social media links. You can hit me up on Twitter at Nice1983, you can email me at nice1983@gmail.com, you can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Nintendo Power Zone. If you're a fan of the Nintendo Power Zone podcast, you can always download new episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, stream new episodes on Stitcher Radio, but if you want to watch the video version of the show, you can catch us right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, watch out for Amiibo Hunters on the prowl. Deuces!